Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. My name is Martin Warwick and I'm talking with Dr. Eyal Felstaine, who is VP Head of Network Cloud Services Orchestration at Amdocs. Eyal, welcome. Thanks for talking to us. One of the things as far as virtualization of the network is concerned, SDN and NFV, there's going to be a hybrid network. It's going to be part virtualized and part still physical. So that's going to be a big challenge for operators, isn't it?
Everybody understands where they are right now at this point. Operators do understand where they want to get, by large, but the big concern is how do I get there? And clearly, as you said, it's going to take way over a decade. If we replicate the same evolution that voice over IP went through, it's 20 years since it started, and we still don't see the end of PSTN. I think what's going to happen is that in the first years, the operators will start introducing one key use case after the other, never replacing something that already works. So all they're going to do is introduce new services with virtual approaches, with virtual network functions, while keeping what's still working at its own stage. What we're going to discover is that, according to what we see from the operators and our approach, within 5 or 6 years, around 70% of the network infrastructure will be virtualized. But that's not going to happen by replacing, because 70% of the services will be new services that doesn't exist today.
What about implications for OSS? Because this is important.
So there are substantial implications. The new services will be composed of, there's going to be hybrid services. Some of the components of a certain service will be physical, and some of the components are going to be virtualized. So you're going to have several routers which are taking part of a service, but they're going to be connected to virtual machines or virtual network functions, and that would be a service. In order to do that, the NFVO, which is orchestrating the service, will have to be connected with the OSS, which is orchestrating the physical part of the service.
I was talking to Margaret Kiyoshi, who is Distinguished Network Architect at AT&T Labs, and she was telling me that AT&T wants to have between 70 and 75% of their network virtualized within the next 5 years. That is a big ask, isn't it?
Indeed. Operators that want to get into such a dramatic shift, they will change the way that they will change totally the way that they work. The workforce will have to go through training, learn new skills, and the way that the operators will work will not be the same. The vendors that are selling to such an operators will also need to change. So the change is immense.
Which brings us, of course, then, given what we're just talking about, onto the concept of openness. And there's more than one kind of open as well, isn't there? How many kinds of openness are there?
So there's several types of openness. One type of openness is open source. This is where you just download the source from the open source community and everybody contributes to it. I'm not sure the industry, for the orchestration piece at least, for the NFV orchestration is ready for open source. I think there's an operator that wants to go into that journey, they will have to code a lot for themselves, because at the end of the day, the operators are competing. There's another type of openness which relates to the ecosystem. I believe that if an operator will buy a VNF and SDN controllers and SDN infrastructure and cloud management system and hypervisor and hardware and the application and the orchestration, all from the same vendor, will find itself 5 years from now in a situation where it really cannot control. It doesn't have a lot of ability to control his procurement decisions in the long term. So I really think an operator should consider buying each component from a different type of vendor.
Well, if you remember back a year or so ago, NFV was predicated very much on the fact that this is being driven by operators, tier 1, tier 2, who are sick and tired of being locked into vendors and have been over the past N years, and are now in a position to say, right, we're cracking the whip now, we want to have this kind of openness and we want this ability to get things from different vendors and not be locked into one. Do you think that is what is actually going to happen?
So firstly, I was positively surprised to see that the vendors have been very mature. I mean, it's clearly the most safe choice to buy everything from a single vendor, because then you have a single throat to choke, and you know, you can as an integrator, as the operator, the risk is reduced, but operators are choosing not to go to this direction actually, and you see it in the tier ones. They want to have different vendors doing the VNF, different vendors doing the SDN, and furthermore, the parts that they see strategic, they want to do themselves. They want to code themselves, or they want to have it as open source. So they really understand, and they're not going to repeat the mistakes that were happening in the physical world.
So among the different bodies and agencies which are looking at openness, OPNFV is being presented by and large as being the venue, the area within which to solve many of these problems. Do you agree that that is the way things are going, or do you think that it's not necessarily the right way to go about things and you can't solve everything in one place?
I agree actually. I think it's the right way to go. I think, firstly, OpenNFV is the most dominant open source community of the telecom stack. So far, they have done SDN, they have done cloud, they have done virtual infrastructure manager, but for the orchestrator, we didn't see too much contribution, so it's really uncharted territory. The thing is that the strategic, the most important stuff the operator have lies within the orchestration. And since the operators are at the end of the day competitors, I'm not sure they would to collaborate on their strategic asset. The strategic asset is assets that they either want to offer themselves or write themselves, which is a very expensive process, or work with a vendor in a manner that will allow them to keep this competitive advantage over their competitors. So I don't see the orchestrator actually being part of OpenNFV. We have to wait.
So as a final question to you, Eyal, if I might, tell us about Amdocs and your customers and clients. What are they telling you that they want? What do they expect? And how can you help them achieve the solutions to their problems?
Our customers tell us that they cannot know by now what are going to be the orchestration challenges of their telecom system 4 years from now. So what they want to have is they want to have a programmable orchestrator. They want to have the ability to model a new design 4 years from now to address a problem that nobody heard about today, and it's going to be the most interesting problem of 3 years from now in the system that they're going to embed in their network today. That is what they're asking us. They're asking us the flexibility and the programmability of the orchestration models. And this is what we provide them.
Interesting. Eyal Felstaine, thank you very much indeed.